Um, we will be finishing off the grammar of Unit 11 today. We'll do exercise F, G, and H. Exercise F and G are based on dependent and independent clauses. Remember, a clause is also a kind of a sentence. For a sentence, you need the subject, verb, object order. Okay? Phrase has the subject, verb, object order missing. Phrases do not make sense on their own. Okay, two clauses, whereas a clause can exist on its own and it conveys the meaning, fully conveys the meaning. Okay, um, there are two kinds of clauses: dependent and independent. Independent clauses convey the meaning completely on their own. They do not need any extra information, or they do not need any extra help to convey the meaning. Whereas the dependent clause, although it makes sense, but it requires the help of the independent clause to convey its meaning. ठीक है, डिपेंड करता है इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज के ऊपर. ठीक है, इंडिपेंडेंट जो है वो होल एंड सोल खुद ही अपना मीनिंग कन्वे करता है. ठीक हो गया. डिपेंडेंट हम लोग नॉर्मली भी क्या कहते हैं, वी आर नॉर्मली डिपेंडेंट ऑन आवर मदर. योर मदर इज इंडिपेंडेंट. ठीक है, आपकी अम्मी को किसी की जरूरत नहीं है कि वो आके अम्मी के साथ हेल्प कराए, काम कराए. अम्मी अपने सारे काम खुद कर सकती हैं. आपको अम्मी की जरूरत है. ओके, यू आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन योर मदर. योर मदर इज एब्सोल्युटली इंडिपेंडेंट. क्लियर? Similarly, the clauses. This is the easiest way to understand. We are recording the session, right? Chale. Have a look at the video. The video is going to help you better understand the concept. It's a 4 minute 20 seconds video. There we go.
Welcome to the Knowledge Platform Educational Series on English. In today's lesson, we take a look at independent and dependent clauses. An independent clause is a main clause or sentence. It contains a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. A dependent clause is a subordinate clause. It contains a subject and a verb, but does not express a complete thought. A dependent clause there.
Do we understand? An independent clause contains not only a subject and a verb, but also expresses a complete thought. Okay? Conveys the complete meaning in itself. Whereas the dependent clause, although it contains the subject and a verb, but the thought or the idea expressed is not complete. Okay? Is not complete. हाँ, म्यूजिक फिर किसी दिन कर लेंगे. ठीक है, गाने शाने हम अलहदा किसी दिन गा लेंगे, उसका अलहदा सेशन रखेंगे. चलें, here we go.
Therefore depends on or modifies the main or independent clause in the sentence. A dependent clause is a group of words containing a subject and a verb that functions as an adverb or an adjective. Since it does not express a complete thought, it cannot stand alone as a sentence. For example, adverb clause. When Nadia became a guide this year, dependent clause, she gained a lot of self-confidence. Adjective clause. Nadia, who became a guide this year, dependent clause, gained a lot of self-confidence.
The purpose is, see, when Nadia became a guide this year, this is a dependent clause. Why? Because it became is became is the verb. When is your adverb? Just like we did yesterday. Remember, we did adverbial clauses yesterday. When is an adverb? It's a subordinating conjunction showing that this whole green clause is a adverbial clause. Okay? Why? Because it is telling you when something has happened. Okay? this idea is not complete on its own. This is the subject, Nadia is the subject, became is your verb. Okay? When Nadia became a guide this year, up till here, although the clause is complete, but the idea is not complete. Okay? What completes the idea? She gained a lot of self confidence. If you remove the green bit and only focus on the black clause, which is the independent clause, she gained a lot of self confidence. The concept is absolutely complete over here. Okay, hence the black words in black are your independent clause, whereas the words or the clause in the green color, it is your dependent clause. The idea depends on the idea in the green clause depends on the idea of the black colored clause to complete its meaning. Okay, I've got a lot of questions coming in. God knows what she became. Guide. See, guide is a person who guides you. You go on a trip, you go on a tour to another country. The person is going to guide you to different locations of the country. You go hiking in the mountains, you will take a guide who is going to tell you what place you are at. They're going to guide you about the trail, about the area, about the temperature, the kind of trees that you will see, etc., etc. Have you ever been to the northern areas? You must have, those of you who have been to the northern areas, you must have.
Ma'am, I have been to.
Hannah?
Me too.
Exactly, very nice. I have never been there, but I know a lot. That you once you go over there, you get a guide, and the guide is supposed to guide you simply. His job is
Yes,
basically
ma'am, I've been there.
about the sort of terrain you are walking on, the kind of things you will see, the kind of temperature you will come across, the different kinds of foods, what the food is made up of, the kinds of trees, the kind of birds, the kinds of animals that you will see in that area. Okay? What makes those things so special? Everything the guide tells you. Actually, we've got 6 more questions, but I haven't. Because they are probably because they have been to that place so many times that they know the area quite well. They can become a guide themselves. All right. Similarly, in the second one, Nadia, who became a guide this year, remember, if you remember this, we have already done this in grade 6 again, where we introduced such clauses earlier on. Who is used for people, who and that is used for people, where and that is used for places, uh, whose shows possession, okay? Whom is for objects. We have done this previously. Okie dokie, okie dokie, very good. I am so happy parents and grandparents, mingling with their grandparents. Yes, Hania, question.
No, ma'am, it was mistakenly.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Over here in the second one, Nadia, who became a guide last year, in this particular statement, Nadia gained a lot of self-confidence. The statement in itself is independent. It does not need anything else to complete its meaning. This extra information is basically telling you something about Nadia. Okay? This extra information is telling you something about Nadia. So anything that defines the quality of the noun, Nadia is the noun. Anything that defines the quality of the noun is basically an adjective. Because this is a clause, it will be called an adjectival clause. Okay? Who became a guide this year? Over here, the conjunction when defines that it's an adverb. Whereas over here, who tells us something about the noun, hence this is an adjective. समझ आ गई? कोई confusion? Do I have Hashim over here? हाशिम समझ आई है?
Yes, ma'am, समझ आ गई.
Good job. चलिए, we are now going to move on. If I think that I need to explain anything, मैं सिर्फ उस वक्त अब explain करूंगी, ठीक है? बाकी अब मेरा ख्याल है कि अब आगे समझ आ जानी चाहिए खुद ब खुद, ठीक है? चलें, here we go.
In the first sentence, when Nadia became a guide this year, Nadia is the subject, became is the verb, but it does not express a complete thought. Likewise, in the second sentence, who is the subject of the clause and became is the verb, but it does not express a complete thought. An independent clause is a group of words containing a subject and verb and expresses a complete thought. Since it does express a complete thought, it can stand alone as a sentence. Independent clauses. Nadia became a guide this year. Nadia gained a lot of self-confidence. Nadia is the subject and became is the verb. Nadia is the subject and gained is the verb. Nadia, who became a guide this year, dependent adjective clause, gained a lot of self-confidence, independent clause. A sentence containing a dependent clause and an independent clause is called a complex sentence. An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence. A dependent clause cannot stand alone. Such a group of words will result in a fragment or incomplete sentence. We went inside after it started to rain. This is a complex sentence. It contains an independent clause and a dependent clause. We went inside. This is a sentence, an independent clause. After it started to rain. This is a fragment. It is a dependent clause. Identify dependent clauses and/or independent clauses in each item. Identify the subject and verb in each clause. Pause the video and do the exercise.
Yes, I have a few questions over here. Rumes is asking that if at the end, or if we put a question mark at the end of the adjective dependent clause, it could be a sentence, couldn't it? Yes and no. Yes, it can become a question statement, but remember, a question statement needs to be separated. The examples given were basically complex sentences, just like
Independent clauses in each item. It is a dependent clause.
the examples given were all similar to this one. Okay, if I say, like for example, Nadia, who became a guide this year, has gained a lot of self-confidence. Nadia, who became a guide this year, question mark, has gained a lot of self-confidence. Notice yourself that the statement has now become more than complex, and it has now been messed up. Okay, remember that the concept is dependent clause requires the independent clause. Just notice over here in this example,
Alhamdulillah.
Yarhamkallah. Over here in this example, after it started to rain, सिर्फ इसको देखें जिस तरह यहाँ पर है, ठीक है? After it started to rain, can I put a question mark over here at the end? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, or if we talk about the Nadia wali example, your question should be, when did Nadia become a guide this year? You will have to add did to it so that it will become a complete question statement. ठीक है? Within, when you have the dependent and independent clause together in a sentence, you cannot put a question mark and convert the dependent clause into a question. ठीक है? It doesn't work that way. Okay? When he became a guide this year, question mark, the statement does not make any sense. When he became a guide this year, when did he become a guide this year? आपका verb भी change हो जाता है, verb का tense change हो जाता है question बनाने के लिए, ठीक है? But when you are talking about dependent and independent clauses, question mark नहीं लगता dependent clause में. क्यों? क्योंकि वो in itself incomplete thought है, incomplete idea है. इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज की जरूरत होती है डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज को. वही आपको यहां पर एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है. आफ्टर इट स्टार्टेड टू रेन, अगर आप अलोन इसको रहने देंगे, इन इटसेल्फ इसको रहने देंगे, तो दिस विल बी कॉल्ड अ फ्रेगमेंट. ठीक है? डिपेंडेंट क्लॉजेस, if they appear on their own, just like over here, after it started to rain, full stop, this is now going to be considered a fragment. This requires an independent clause to complete its meaning, to convey its meaning. Okay? Whereas we went inside, although this is an independent clause, but the concept is complete. We have the subject, we have the verb. Okay? क्लॉज को कंप्लीट होने के लिए, क्लॉज की खसूसियत ये है, क्लॉज की क्वालिटी ये है कि क्लॉज में सब्जेक्ट और वर्ब होता है. ठीक है? सब्जेक्ट तो मेरे पास यहां पे भी है, वर्ब तो मेरे पास यहां पे भी है इन डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज में. लेकिन डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज, if it is written or if it appears on its own अलहदा से, तो वो डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज कहलाता है. फ्रैगमेंट काउंट होगा, वो सेंटेंस नहीं काउंट होता. ठीक है? लुक एट दिस एग्जांपल. डू इट. Oh wait. I am. ठीक है? In this example, oh wait, we're running out of time. Okay. In this example, I is the subject, am is the verb. The idea is complete. This is a independent clause. I am. Sentence complete है. समझ आ रही है? सेंटेंस के कंप्लीट होने के लिए या क्लॉज के कंप्लीट होने के लिए सब्जेक्ट और वर्ब का होना जरूरी है. ठीक है? लेकिन कॉन्सेप्ट जब क्लियर हो जाता है, मैं हूं, इसका मतलब है मैं हूं. ठीक है? मैं एग्जिस्ट करता हूं. ठीक है ना? कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर है, कॉन्सेप्ट कन्वे हो रहा है. वी वेंट इनसाइड, हम अंदर चले गए. सब्जेक्ट वर्ब आपका कंप्लीट कॉन्सेप्ट है. ऑन इट्स ओन इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज जब भी लिखा जाएगा तो हम उसको कहेंगे कि ये सेंटेंस है. लेकिन ऑन इट्स ओन जब डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज लिखा जाए, तो क्योंकि कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर नहीं होता, क्योंकि कॉन्सेप्ट थॉट जो है वो आइडिया फुली कन्वे नहीं होता, इसलिए उसको हम फ्रैगमेंट कहते हैं. ठीक हो गया? डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज को हमेशा इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज की जरूरत होती है टू कन्वे इट्स मीनिंग. वीव गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ चैट कमिंग इन. पहले भी आ सकता है डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज और बाद में भी आ सकता है. ठीक है? ओवर हियर इन दिस एग्जांपल, डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज इज कमिंग आफ्टर द इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज. ये इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है और ये डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है. ठीक है? जो हमने पहले एग्जांपल देखी थी गाइड वाली, उसमें डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज पहले था, इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज बाद में आया. कल जो हमने एक्सरसाइजेस की थी ये वाली, ठीक है, इनमें आपको इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉजेस ये दिए हुए हैं, आपने डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज लिखना था. लास्ट सेंटेंस में डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज पहले आ रहा है, इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज बाद में दिया हुआ है. ठीक हो गया? मोर क्वेश्चंस कमिंग इन. हाँ, After it started to rain, we went inside. बिल्कुल ठीक है. इसमें after we started to rain जो है वो dependent clause है. We went inside independent clause है. We went inside after it started to rain में आपका independent clause पहले आ गया, dependent clause बाद में आ गया. ठीक है, दोनों तरीके से हो सकता है. Okay, चलें जी. We will complete the exercise now. ओह एनोटेशन तो पहले बंद करिए मैम.
Identify.
अच्छा, over here. अच्छा, I will call out your names. Tell me कि independent clause कौन सा है और dependent clause कौन सा है. Ahmed, would you like to do the first one? If you don't fix the leak, there will be water all over the floor. Independent clause कौन सा और dependent clause कौन सा है? Ahmed? If you don't fix the leak, क्या चीज है? Dependent है कि independent है? Anyone else? हमारे पास टाइम थोड़ा है बच्चे, 6 minutes हैं. चैट देखना है मैंने. Awkward cricket sound, ma'am, dependent. ठीक है. After it started to rain, ठीक है. Okay. Salman says this is dependent clause. ठीक है. If you don't fix the leak is your dependent clause. There will be water all over the floor is your independent clause. ठीक है. We will take the train because it is faster than the bus. Zainab. We will take the train because it is faster than the bus.
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
I can.
In this sentence, we will take the train is the dependent clause, and because it is faster than the bus is the independent clause.
गलत हो गया. Because it is faster than the bus is your dependent clause.
Oh, sorry, I meant the opposite.
हाँ, मुझे समझ आ गई थी. We will take the train is the independent clause. ठीक है? Idea complete हो रहा है. Because it is faster than the bus, dependent clause है. Idea incomplete है. ठीक है? In case of rain, we will reschedule the picnic. Hania. Hania, jaldi.
Ma'am, can I answer?
Abdullah, would you like to?
Ma'am, in case of rain is dependent.
Very good. In case of rain,
And we
dependent.
will reschedule the picnic is independent.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Next, I have Rumesh. Would you like to attempt the next one? Number 4. In case it rains, we will reschedule the picnic. In case of rain,
Ma'am, it's the same.
it rains. I think it is the same. ठीक है ना, ये भी बिल्कुल वही चीज है, सिर्फ वर्ड्स का डिफरेंस है. ये भी डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है. हाशिर, नंबर 5 प्लीज. Hashir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please. Number 5.
Ma'am, I will pick you up at 9 o'clock is independent clause, and then we can go out to dinner is dependent.
And then we can go, oh, sorry, really line tedi ho gayi. And then we can go out is the dependent clause. Very good. Hashim Tariq, I'd like you to attempt the next one, please.
Ma'am, Zakir, who I just met is independent clause and seem like a nice person is dependent clause.
अच्छा, मजे की बात ये है, whom I have just met is your dependent clause. ठीक है? Zakir seems like a nice person is the independent clause. देखा कैसे हमने दरमियान में डाल दिया. Zakir, whom I have just met. जाकिर की क्वालिटी बता रहे हैं, एडजेक्टिवल क्लॉज है ये. ठीक है? वैसे वेरी वेल डन हाशिम, गुड जॉब. रुमेश, I'd like you to do number 7. Shaka, you'll have to wait for a little while. बच्चे मैं इनकी क्लास complete, I need to complete their lesson and then I'll join you guys. Yes, number 7. Rumesh, you won't be speaking. I will lend you the novel is independent. Ji Salman, I did check. I have read the sentences. Rumesh says that I will lend you the novel is the independent clause, whereas as soon as Sadia returns to me is the dependent clause. Okay? Sarah, I'd like you to do the last one. The bicycle we just bought is ready to ride. Which we just bought is ready to ride. The bicycle which we just bought is ready to ride. Jaldi, jaldi, aakhri.
And can I do it?
Is independent,
Which one is independent?
which we just bought.
नहीं नहीं नहीं. Which we just bought. खुद देखो. Idea complete.
Ma'am,
Which we just bought. Is the idea complete?
Bicycle which we just bought.
The bicycle is ready to ride.
Is independent.
Is independent. Which we just bought is the dependent clause. ठीक है?
जी मैम.
अगर मैं ये चीज हटा दूं इधर से, ये देखना जरा, अगर मैंने ये सारा किचड़ मिचड़ कर दिया, which we just bought की कोई सेंस बन रही है बेटे?
नहीं मैम.
ना, लेकिन अगर मैं यहां से इसको हटा दूं, तो क्या the bicycle is ready to ride की कोई सेंस बन रही है?
No मैम.
The bicycle is ready to ride.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes मैम. Yes मैम.
अब the bicycle is ready to ride क्योंकि आइडिया बन रहा है, कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो रहा है, इसको हम कहेंगे इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज. और ये जो दरमियान का था which we just bought on its own, इसकी कोई सेंस नहीं है, तो ये डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है. ठीक है? Together when we incorporate dependent and independent clause, हमारे पास complex sentence बनता है. Clauses join together to make a sentence. ठीक है? चलें. With that we come to the end of the lesson. ये आगे ना बाजी, सिर्फ मैं lesson वो complete कर देती हूँ इसको, वीडियो को. हमारे पास last